golfj.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Golf J podcast. It's our special preview edition of the 100th PGA Championship here on FingerLakes1.tv. I'm Jim Sinicropi alongside Rhett Ticconi and Doug Brown, coming at you live from inside the FingerLakes1.com studios on the third floor of the North Park building in Seneca Falls, New York. It's Monday, August 6th, 2018, and tonight we're talking about the season's final major. And it's almost snuck up on us. Rhett forgot about it, I think.
I had to schedule a little switch. I thought the Wyndham this week and then the PGA, but I got that backwards, so I made it here in record time.
But
good to have you.
I was taking a nap.
But next year, this major championship season will be over by now. We'll be in the heart of the FedEx Cup playoffs. The Tour Championship will be 2 weeks away.
See, my years were screwed up. I thought they already played this.
Yeah. Yeah, next year's going to be interesting because it'll be different, right? Because like you say, middle of July, done.
Yeah,
So.
A lot different. I mean, that's a major difference. When the British is the last major, that's like, what's next?
Right.
You know, I know the FedEx Cup, but that's just not the same excitement as a PGA Championship, even though they say the PGA is the fourth, which it is, but it was the fourth for all these years and fourth in line, too. Now it's going to be the fourth major, but it's the second.
Right.
So it'll be weird. But, you know, change is good sometimes. We'll see.
Sometimes it is good, and so we won't know until we do it,
right?
Till we see it.
Yep.
I'm sure it'll be great in the middle of May to be talking about a major championship and watching it.
Yeah.
Whether we're feeling a little left out in August, I don't know. Or maybe the FedEx Cup playoffs will have a lot more oomph to them. But the fall season certainly will be more focused on football, which might be fine too. Who knows? But also something that came to an end this week was the Bridgestone at Firestone, which that really bothers me because that is like one of the most perfect hosts for a big event like that, and it's done nothing over the years except deliver excitement and remarkable conditions and great finishes. And that tournament's gone next year, and the winner of the final iteration, Justin Thomas. And it was a great weekend. Thomas really, I don't want to say lapped the field, but pulled away on a day when everybody else, all seven of the guys who were closest to Thomas after 54 holes combined to shoot 17 over par. Just Kyle Stanley shot under par with a 68, and so he finished in second. So 25-year-old Justin Thomas now has 9 PGA Tour wins, fifth and now youngest player to win a combination of the FedEx Cup, a major, and a World Golf Championship event in his career. So look out Dustin Johnson, who, by the way, did retain the top spot in the FedEx Cup standing because he had a great final round, 64, which could have been better to finish tie for third, so he maintains the top spot.
Right. I think Justin Thomas showed yesterday that he's kind of separating himself from the rest. When he had Rory Mcilroy 3 behind going into the round, I believe. And, of course, then you see Dustin Johnson coming up the board. And Justin Thomas just steadily played a good round of golf. I think he made 1 bogey. And I think he showed that he might be the guy to reckon with, in my mind, as being the number one for a while. He's tough.
Yeah, I was looking back at his season so far, because it seemed to me like he's just like either on or off, but he's been pretty consistently good. He's just missed a couple of cuts, for instance, at Carnoustie. That was kind of a shock.
Yeah.
But
just hasn't won in a while. I mean,
he's got 3 wins now, though,
yeah,
right?
CG 9 Bridges back in December.
Yeah.
Then he won didn't he win the World Golf Championship event in Mexico?
Yeah.
He lost.
Right.
Which one did he lose to Phil in the playoff?
That would have been the Mayakoba. The World Golf Championship in Mexico, was that?
Yes. He holed out on 18 to get into the playoff,
Yeah.
right? But Phil beat him in the playoff, I believe.
Let's take a look.
And then he won early in the season, or in the spring.
Right.
which Rhett will pull it up.
So I think if they were to vote today, he's Player of the Year.
Yeah,
not major, but he's got the records.
Well, that might be one of the storylines coming into the FedEx Cup playoffs is DJ versus Thomas for Player of the Year.
He won the Honda.
The Honda Classic, that's right.
Phil won in Mexico.
Well, don't forget, Bubba Watson's got 3 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little less consistent than Thomas or Johnson.
Less consistent, right? No doubt.
One of Bubba's.
He's in the conversation.
Yeah, so he hasn't won. Looking at, I don't think he's won since that February win, so it's been a while. But he does have 3 wins, and he's obviously defending the PGA. So definitely a guy that's been around the top, been close to the top of the rankings for a while now. It's a guy that you got to be one of your picks to win the PGA again and repeat and keep moving forward and carrying us through the Ryder Cup too. I mean, he's one you're going to put a lot of faith in to help us win the Ryder Cup and keep the Ryder Cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
I mean, even more so than the Spieth or
Patrick Reed.
I think he's first in the conversation. Him and Dustin Johnson are the 2 guys.
Number 1 and 2.
Yeah.
How can we lose? How can the U.S. lose?
Before,
right?
I think we say that every time.
Another guy that's being talked about for the Ryder Cup, he's already assistant captain. He was also talked about as possibly getting his first win since returning at Bridgestone, but didn't happen with a 73-73 on the weekend. He's just 5 shots off the pace after 36. What's your take on Tiger? We thought that he, at the Bridgestone, if he was going to win one, that might be it with his record at that course.
Yeah, I thought the weekend, disappointing. As you know, I'm a fan, so it's certainly disappointing. I thought he'd move up the leaderboard on Saturday. Yesterday's round was a mess, even though it was the same score as Saturday. Yeah. That back nine he played was all over the joint. I think right now he's taken a step backwards after the British Open and this past weekend. I don't think this past weekend I would say he's taken a step forward at all. I know he's moving up in the world rankings because he's having a decent run, but I'm pulling for the guy as much as anybody else is. I just not sold right now that he's ready. I think the weekend might be a little bit more of a mental block than physical.
He is yet to put four rounds together in one tournament.
Right.
I mean, he's had some great rounds this year, and rounds that make you say, "Wow, there's not quite the Tiger of old, but a guy who's definitely in the mix to win a tournament soon." And now, though, he's played in 13 events, I think, or 14,
which is usually a full year for him.
Yeah. So I mean, he's played in more events than he normally would in a year. He's been up the leaderboard and in the discussion in pretty much all of them, except for I think a couple that he missed the cut, but he hasn't missed many cuts. Just hasn't put it all together. And I don't know if you got to think he's going to do that one weekend sometime soon. Just don't know.
Doesn't feel like next weekend though.
No, and you just don't know on how much of a consistent basis he's going to do that anymore.
Led at Carnoustie in the final round of the British Open, came back and just didn't deliver at probably the most favorable course he could play for historically. Yeah. So I think I've lost a lot of confidence in him being able to win the PGA Tour with such a great field.
Yeah. So isn't it remarkable, though, because if this is anybody else, he's having a hell of a year.
Really.
Sure, yeah.
But it's Tiger, and we expect more.
Yeah, we expect wins.
And he does. Physically looks good, right? There's no back problems that I can see, and ankle problems and leg problems or all that. It's just we got a couple errant shots during the course of the round that adds up to a string of bogeys or double bogeys or missed putts.
No, it's funny you talk about him like you said. Bubba Watson has 3 wins.
Yeah,
we're not talking about Bubba Watson before we're talking about Tiger, even though Bubba Watson's got just as good a chance to win as Tiger does at this point.
I'm not expecting Tiger to win. I wouldn't say that I expect him, but I feel like he could win now. Yep. And so when you saw him in contention at the Open, that's just
that
great.
Was his. After a 10th hole, that tournament's his.
Old Tiger closes it right out.
No doubt. Yep. Wins by 4, something like that, right? But he had a good first 2 days. It's still more entertaining when he's on the leaderboard than not.
Well, obviously, Tiger will be a big storyline heading into the PGA Championship. We're going to spend the rest of the show talking about the PGA Championship, which begins Thursday. Jordan Spieth had a decent final round going at Bridgestone, trying to build some momentum. He was 2 under through 14 holes, and then he finished bogey, double bogey, double bogey. 74, 60th place. I can't figure Jordan Spieth out heading into a chance to win the career Grand Slam again at the PGA. So we'll definitely talk about Spieth, but
shocking.
First, a little background on the tournament this week. The PGA Championship comes to St. Louis and Bellerive Country Club for its 100th edition this week as Justin Thomas undertakes his first major title defense against a lineup headlined by FedEx Cup frontrunner Dustin Johnson and one of the year's deepest fields. Jordan Spieth takes his second crack at completing the career Grand Slam, which would make him the second youngest to accomplish the feat behind Tiger Woods. And speaking of Tiger, the four-time champ is back for the first time at the PGA Championship since 2015. All but 2 of the top 112 in the world rankings are slated to compete. We're missing number 87. That would be Bern Weisberger with a hurt wrist, and also with a hurt wrist, number 90, Juice Luton. Not Juice Newton.
Juice Newton.
But Juice Luton. And then, of course, Justin Rose, world number 2. Is he still? No, he's not number 2 anymore. That would be Thomas. So Rose must be 3 at this point.
Okay.
He's up there.
He was 2 going in, but he didn't play.
Yeah, he didn't play last week at the Bridgestone because of a bad back, but he's playing this week. Last time he dropped out of a tournament because of his back. He came back and won the gold medal.
That's right.
Yep. So I don't know if that's a concern or not. And then, of course, this week's lineup also includes the top 20 finishers from June's PGA Professional National Championship. If you want to watch it on TV, Thursday through Friday, it'll be on 2 to 8 p.m. on TNT, so that's something different. TNT. You're going to have to look
Ernie
that
Johnson?
up. Yeah, Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith on the call. Then Saturday and Sunday, early coverage 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on TNT, and then 2 to 7 on CBS. So glad to have Major Championship Golf back on CBS. But what do you guys know about this golf course?
Not much.
I don't know anything either.
Nick Price won it. Won the PGA Championship.
Did Gary Player too, I think?
I think he did. As a matter of fact, Bellerive Country Club is 7,317 yards. It's a par 70, as most major championship tests tend to end up being. A major championship host for the 3rd time. And it used to be the host of or for 1 year, I think, the 2008 BMW Championship it hosted. So a few players in the field still remain from playing there in 2008. The club dates back to 1897 as the Field Club. It was later renamed for Louis Saint-Ange de Bellerive, North America's last French governor. They relocated the entire course and club in 1960 to its current site, where Robert Trent Jones Sr. was hired to select the land and build the course. Gary Player won the U.S. Open there, actually.
That's it.
5 years later in 1965.
Yep.
And that allowed him to become just the 3rd man to complete the career Grand Slam. So a career Grand Slam has been completed here already. Hosted the 1992 PGA Championship, won by Nick Price, his first of 3 major titles. The WGC American Express Championship also was in Bellerive in 2001, but never teed off because it was canceled following the 9/11 terrorist attacks on New York City. So there's some info.
I guess so.
On Bellerive. It's a new course for most of these players.
Yep.
Certainly, and if you played it in 2008, I don't know how much of an advantage that is.
Right.
A lot's changed since then.
Or never have playing it, how much of a disadvantage is it for these guys? They got books up galore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going to play 3 practice rounds, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Yep.
So,
Now, nobody like they do sometimes at Augusta show up early, or U.S. Open courses show up 2 weeks early.
Yeah.
Or Carnoustie. You never hear that for the PGA.
Schedule doesn't allow it, really.
It probably is scheduling.
Right.
Nobody's going to miss the Bridgestone.
Right.
Those guys probably stopped and got a practice round in June or May, June, July, whatever, because they hop from town to town as it is.
Right.
Well, if we're going to start talking about this thing, it's got to start with Jordan Spieth. The victory would make him just the 6th to accomplish the career Grand Slam. And Spieth finished 4 shots behind Molinari at the Open Championship after having a share of the lead heading into Sunday. And so, all this year it's been like Spieth has been struggling with the putter, and Jordan, some people are saying he's done. It's just not been the same Jordan Spieth, but yet he's right there in a major championship similar to Tiger on the back 9 at Carnoustie.
It's hard to win a golf tournament.
It is hard, yeah.
Oh, yeah, with this many great players, for sure.
I mean, it's the level these guys play at, and we're talking about what's wrong with this guy.
Right, a shot a day.
I'm not as big fan as some are, and I know Jimmy really like Jordan Spieth a lot. He's a great player. He'll be back. I don't know if it's going to be this year. We didn't think he was doing much last year, and then he throws that chip shot in at the Travelers
and wins the Open.
A few weeks later, and all of a sudden there's what's wrong with Jordan Spieth? And then he kind of goes dark a little bit. But I think for his sake, he's always got a chance to win a tournament. The key is not having those big blow-up holes that he seems to have every now and then that really, maybe his mindset, it really weighs on him. He carries them with him, it seems like, for a couple holes, and it really bothers him and leads to more big mistakes like that as opposed to just take your medicine and move on.
He's an anomaly from guys on tour who are pretty robotic about showing emotions, especially negatively. A lot of them show positive emotions, but they try to their credit and usually to their benefit to not show too much negative. But Jordan Spieth shows it all. How do you view Jordan Spieth coming into this weekend?
Well, I've said it before. He seems agitated, irritable, distracted. What seemed to be very natural 3 years ago isn't natural now. And I've heard some things with him and his caddy talking about they've got way too technical, throw the putting green book away, all that kind of good stuff. So probably what he did coming out of amateur golf, going through college, turning professional, he just let it play.
Played the game.
Right? And now he got good. So let's try to get better, and maybe we got a little bit too much going on. When you got to get a book out to look at a 3-foot putt, on a golf course that has no footprints and all that kind of good stuff, I struggle with that, right? So I think his ball striking, I don't think is any better or any worse than it was when he won the Masters and was winning British Open, etc. But his short game seems to be letting him down more, which I think leads to later on a shot that goes in the woods. But I just watch his demeanor. I just think he's, distracted is the best word I can come up with. I don't know what it is. But I think until he gets back to having fun, he may finish 60th more times than that. Just to let it go. I talked to some people before about we get analysis paralysis. So you got to play stupid sometimes. Forget everything, right? It's a 5-footer. Hit the darn thing.
Trust what you see in front of you.
Yeah, it's 125. Hit your 125-yard club. Yeah. Right. So I don't know if I'm spot on or not. Who knows? But that's just what I see. I don't consider him a threat.
Well, you bring up a point about the green reading books. They're going to be banned next year. Not banned, they're going to be limited. You can only show so much information. You can't handwrite notes. The RNA, or no, was it the USGA or the PGA Tour? Wasn't planning on talking about it, so I don't have my facts, but going to be less of an impact on the game with these green. I say do them away altogether.
I agree.
But, green reading is part of the game.
Exactly.
As far as my take on Jordan Spieth, you just never know with Spieth. Like, I don't have enough confidence to pick him on my daily fantasy teams this week or to tell you that I think he's going to be the winner. He's not going to be my pick to win this week. But you know what? He's probably has a better chance of winning going in not being talked about than he does if he was red hot and had a chance to win the career Grand Slam. Right. I think he's been distracted a little bit from any of that stuff because he's probably so focused on fixing these problems with the putting. And so, I think he's played relatively well heading into this. and he probably hasn't been dwelling on the fact that he's got a chance to win the career Grand Slam, 2 weeks from now, 1 week from now, heading into it. So you never know. I wouldn't count him out. He's not my pick, but I would not be surprised.
I expect to see his name on the leaderboard all 4 days, up there in the top 10, right? And then it's just a matter of how the behavior goes. And I think when you see the 1 5-footer that gets missed, well, that'll be the telltale hole. What happens the next time? Because at the British Open, he made a birdie. I think he went birdie, eagle, birdie, or something like that to win. Because he played the last 4 holes 5 under.
Yeah.
After the debacle on the tee shot on 14 or 13, whatever.
After Kuchar did that,
So for some reason he buckled up and got the job done, and I haven't seen that this year.
No.
At least domestically, he's played in the U.S. So
I mean, he's 43rd in FedEx Cup ranking, so he's consistently been inconsistent this year.
Yeah.
He hasn't put 4 rounds. He hasn't put 4 rounds together either.
Yeah.
See, like 1 or 2 holes here or there derail his tournament.
Right. I mean, I might consider him a top 10 pick to win. I don't consider him a top 3 pick to win. I don't know how many players you get to pick. I wouldn't pick 5. I'd say he's the 5th.
Well, the thing is Spieth, if you're going on a salary game, Spieth is one of the top 6 or 7 salaried guys. So that makes it even worse if you're going to take up one of your 6 spots for him, because you're not going to be able to take Justin Thomas or Dustin Johnson.
Right.
Just out of curiosity, who's like 40, 41, and 42?
FedEx?
Yeah. On,
Kim, Horschel, Spieth, Howell, Griot, Bradley, Woods.
So that's the kind of year Jordan Spieth is having. Emiliano Grillo and
Billy Horschel
and Siwoo Kim.
Siwoo Kim and Bae Byung-han An.
And a little bit better than Tiger.
Yeah. So a lot of these guys, like An, we're thinking, man, he's having a good year. He's come on the scene. But Jordan Spieth does not want to be compared to Siwoo Kim or Billy Horschel. I mean, and that's right where he is right now.
You look at some of the names ahead of him: Bo Hostler, Luke List. Aaron Wise is having a good year.
Again, all 3 of those guys up and coming. They're happy to be there. Jordan Spieth is past that stage.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not happy where he is, because he's, that's the place where if he has a couple not very good tournaments in the FedEx Cup, he'll be on the bubble to make the the tour championship.
Last 32 wouldn't make it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's also in a spot. If he has a good week, he jumps up to top 10, and then. Who knows? But I don't know.
He wins the PGA Championship this week, and all of a sudden, we're talking and singing a different tune next week. But that will always be the story heading into the PGA Championship, whether it's this year or next May. It will be Jordan Spieth's attempt to get the career Grand Slam.
Right. He doesn't seem to be on form going in.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And I think that McIlroy's attempt to get it at the Masters will never be as big a story, because the Masters doesn't need a story. The PGA always needs a story.
Right.
And then Mickelson's the other guy with the U.S. Open going for the career Grand Slam, which that's always a story because of Mickelson's he's kind of at the end. So
except for he cheated at this year's U.S. Open. So
yeah, well, I agree with you.
Got tarnished.
Spieth he's playing with Rahm and Rose. First 2 days, so
boy,
we'll see how that
bad back and time bomb.
Rahm can get a little fiery, as we know. They're in the afternoon on Thursday.
That'd be a fun group to follow, though.
It would be, yeah.
They'll probably be one of the featured groups because they're in the afternoon. Looks like Woods, McIlroy, and Thomas are in the morning.
So he's good for golf. Certainly hope he, continues the same trend. You think about the last 3-4 years; he's had a great career.
Yeah. If
we go out 4 more years and he duplicates those efforts, he's going to have 8 majors? Okay.
Yeah.
And 30 wins or whatever, so a lock at the Hall of Fame and all that stuff. So he's had a good career already, and he's good for golf.
Yeah.
He's a fan favorite.
No question.
So.
Well, the number 1 player in the world's always a contender for any tournament he enters, and Dustin Johnson. Just a few weeks removed from the RBC Canadian Open. His 3rd win of 2018. Finds himself down to his last chance, and this is what's shocking about a guy of his talent, his last chance of the year to win his 2nd career major. Try to back up that 2016 U.S. Open. And so to me, he should have the most pressure on him. At this point, my goodness.
probably the least world number one talked about in history. I mean, with Tiger this year and Spieth struggles and Justin Thomas as well. I mean,
how does he only have one major?
I know.
Well, he's let a few of them get out of his hands.
Bad luck too.
Pebble Beach, he let get away from shooting like 80 or something like that.
Whistling Straits, the bunker deal.
And then he 3-putted Chambers Bay, right, against Jordan Spieth.
Yeah,
was it Chambers Bay?
Yep.
And then he had the penalty called on. He didn't call it on himself where the ball moved on the green.
But he won that
He
tournament.
won that.
Oh, he did end up winning. That's right.
won.
That's right.
That was
But he had a 10-foot eagle putt at Chambers Bay to win.
Mhm.
He 3-putted it.
Yeah, I remember that now that you mention it. Ouch.
Okay,
Yeah.
so he's had at least 2 of them with the trophy in his hand.
Yeah.
Pebble Beach, he got off to a bad start. That was probably a foregone conclusion, but Chambers Bay was his.
Yeah. Chambers
Then
Bay.
it was the British Open. He hit it out of bounds with an iron on a par 4 on like the 15th hole when he was leading the tournament.
Yep.
So he's had his chances.
You got to think that all those wounds will help him, going forward. Whether it's this week or not, I don't know. But he's certainly in form. He certainly has no weakness in his
I
game.
agree.
And there's a reason why he's number one. And I think that, if you're looking for the story of the season, Johnson wins the PGA Championship, clinches the top spot, clinches the Player of the Year. It would make too much sense to me. It just would make too much sense.
I agree he would clinch those if he wins.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
No doubt.
So, who we want to talk about next? How about Justin Thomas, since he's obviously hot. Now, how much does winning the Bridgestone hurt his chances at Bellerive? I think it hurts. I think it's very difficult to win 2 events in a row on the PGA Tour because you're staying later at the place you won. He's been there long since. The emotions and the feelings of holding a trophy and the feeling of satisfaction takes away some focus. So
Just historically, it just doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
I mean, last time I can remember, Tiger maybe, but I remember Bernhard Langer did it a couple times.
Yeah, but were these World Golf Championship and Major back-to-back?
Yeah,
Because I thought there used to be a gap between most of them,
sure.
if not all of them. I don't remember them being back-to-back.
Neither did I.
Until
That's
this
why I almost
one.
missed the show.
Yeah, you're right.
it's hard for people to win any 2 events in a
Right.
row,
Yeah,
let
that's
alone
what I mean. Like,
2
just-
events like that.
It just
Right.
doesn't happen.
I think if he's got anything going for him, it was a short trip from Ohio to St. Louis.
Yeah.
Very
Okay,
short.
so could have been worse. It could have been Washington State to Southern Florida or something along those lines. But I would assume that in a private jet, that can't be more than an hour flight. I wouldn't guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm sure he got there pretty quick last
Yeah, I'm sure somebody took care of him. But you're absolutely right. It's more telling in your body and your mind. So now you get there late Sunday night. Excuse me. Get there late Sunday night, exhausted. Maybe never played the course before till today, which would have put him behind a little bit too if he had to sleep in.
Right.
But same token, he's hot.
And he blew that one of the strongest fields of the year away by 4 shots.
But even when I say he's hot, you're right. Historically, there's not a lot of 2 or 3 in a rows ever.
It's just hard.
Okay, it is hard.
So much. I mean, the courses. I mean, they're all plush and in perfect conditions, but they're all a lot of different types. These 2 courses seem like they're a lot similar.
I would think so. Same vintage.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of courses are different. Different guys play each week, so you never know who you're coming
Yeah.
up against. A guy coming off a break who's more rested than you are, and or a guy that's just got a hot putter and might have almost won the week before. And you see that a lot. You see a lot of guys where they come in top 5 and have 2 or 3 in a row top 5s, and maybe you get 1 win out of that. But yeah, just historically, it's so hard to do.
I remember seeing Brooks Koepka when he went to the Travelers this year after winning the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
He just looked whooped on Thursday.
Yeah.
I think he shot 1 under, signed the scorecard, and the day was over. I just think he was absolutely whooped.
Sure.
Yeah, well, there's probably a little party involved. I don't know if Thomas is going to feel that way. But, at Firestone, you're talking about a guy who was 3rd in total driving, 2nd in greens hit, and 1st in proximity in Justin Thomas. So nobody's hitting it as good as he did, or as he is right now. And the fact that he comes from a family of PGA of America pros. You know, that's what this tournament is. It's the PGA of America. It's the Club Professionals tournament. It's a different organization than the PGA Tour, and you know, and Thomas realizes that probably more than anybody.
Right.
And it was really cool at the Bridgestone to see him get hugs from his grandparents. That was pretty cool. You know, there's only so many opportunities, I suppose, for them to be able to see him, you know, have a win like that. So that's got to mean a lot, and it would mean a lot again this weekend. So, I think Justin Thomas has a great chance.
Yeah. He's easy.
Totally agree.
I don't know if he's my pick yet. We'll have to wait till the end of the show, and when we give you our official picks. But we mentioned Brooks Koepka. He finished 5th at Firestone. You know, he came out and just tore it up. I mean, this guy is like Dustin Johnson Jr. With more majors.
This guy's powerful, no nonsense, doesn't seem to be distracted at all, fires at it and does well.
Yeah, I got to like Koepka's chances. And then we talked about Justin Rose after sitting out. But last time he started, it was the Open, and he finished tied for 2nd. I mean, he's there every single week.
Yeah.
Now, here's a guy. How many majors does Rose have? 1, U.S. Open.
Yeah.
You know.
He's only played 13 events this year. He's got 8 top 10s in 13 events, 2 wins. So, I mean, consistently over the last year, I would say he's probably been that guy.
Consistency, absolutely right.
Yeah. So he's a smart pick as far as, I don't know if you're, you know, as far as a winner, but he and Justin Thomas, if you're trying to spread your money around in fantasy, those two guys have been good picks each week. He
doesn't seem to have a round that's like 75 that hurts.
Yeah,
he
right.
has a 72.
It's amazing.
71, something like that. And you look at some of these scores. I mean, even Thornbjorn Olsen had 71 the first round. Hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
When somebody else shoots 63 in the first round, you're already behind by several.
Yeah.
But Rose doesn't seem to have that type of round in any one of the 4 rounds, which I think is why he creeps up like the British Open. He came out of nowhere a little bit.
Yeah.
Made the cut Friday by making a putt.
Yeah, and the number, right?
Right, and then he posted a good enough score probably to win 80% of the time.
Certainly, the final round pressure doesn't affect a guy like him.
No.
But again, 1 major for Justin Rose. It seems like he should have 2 or 3 by now, and I'm sure he feels that way. So there's, you know, I mean, he gears his schedule towards these majors, and I'm sure he'd love to pick up a second major this week, of course. Jason Day, 2015 PGA champ, has 5 straight top 15s in the PGA Championship. This course caters to his length. His short game and putting has been spot on. Tied for 12th, 17th, and 10th in his last 3 starts. Really thought he might challenge Thomas this weekend at Firestone, but he kind of faded. But Day's been quietly lurking, and not a surprise there if Jason Day was to pull one out.
2 wins this year. I mean, he's definitely a guy that I could see rounding into the form he was in 15 and 16. You know, he's gotten over some of his ailments. The vertigo hasn't really been a problem. I think he's got that under control. So I think, you know, he's a guy that loves the PGA for whatever reason, and would be definitely a healthy pick for this week.
Yeah, I mean, not feeling Jason Day?
No, I don't see it at all. I figure no chance.
Or he could not be.
How come? What don't you like?
I just don't. I've lost faith in the guy.
Yeah.
All right, because he, you know, I forgot he has 2 wins this year.
Yeah.
But he goes missing in action so much, whether it's injuries or. And I respect the family thing, but it just seems like I know he made TV this weekend, got some coverage, but I didn't see him as being a threat to win this past weekend. I don't see him to be a threat to win this upcoming weekend. I don't know. It seems like he's 1 step away from having back surgery like Tiger Woods. You know, so
yeah, well, you know, and it seems to me, I don't know if this is true, but he seems to be struggling with his weight a little bit, which could contribute to some of these physical things. I don't know. Did you watch him on TV? He just seems a little bigger.
Has he filled out some? Has he?
Just
bigger or bigger, thicker, or
There's
like,
just more cameras
he
on.
looks-
Yeah, I don't know. A little.
wearing his shirt tight. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe his shirt's too tight.
It might be. Jesus.
TV's at 15 pounds. There's just 2 cameras on him. That's all.
I tell you what, though, in fantasy, he's like down the list to like 10th. But, you know, there's a handful that are ahead of him.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like Doug have lost a little faith in him.
Perfect week to pick him.
Yeah.
Rory Mcilroy now is a guy who I wouldn't be surprised if he's somebody's pick to win this week. 2-time PGA champ not too long ago, 2012, 2014. You know, tied for 6th last week at Firestone. And, you know, clearly one of the best players in the world who is just kind of waiting for that next part of his career where he can rattle off 2 or 3 more majors in a 2 or 3 year period.
Right.
And he seems to be getting close.
No
I
doubt.
thought Sunday was his day. I told some people in the shop that I really expected him to win. And I like Justin Thomas, so no slanting him at all. It just seemed like it was Rory's turn. 3 shots back with the game that those guys he's got and all that, but he was no threat Sunday.
No.
And if he plays like that, he's no threat, obviously, period. But I don't
He
know
seems to be fade in the final round. He
Yes.
seems to be a little affected by that final round pressure.
Absolutely. He's not put 4 rounds together for most of the season as well.
I'm sure they think about, listen, they're not stupid. They know that it's been a while. They know they're allegedly good players, right? And what's going to be said tomorrow and all that kind of good stuff, right? So I'm sure when he gets to the golf course, he knows he's got to perform because everybody's scrutinizing him.
You know, and just generally, we always talk about, man, these guys are so good, you know, and they get so much attention that they and money that their heads must get big. But you ever think about it could be the other way? Like a guy like Rory McIlroy could just look at Justin Thomas and secretly say, man, I don't think I can beat Justin Thomas, or I don't think I can beat Dustin Johnson.
Right.
Kind of said that about Justin Thomas. He had a quote about how much he's a killer. He gets the look in his eye and he's going to take it to you. He's talking about how much of a good player he is and how much of a good competitor he is.
Yeah.
He's not talking about Rory being that good of a competitor and a player. Okay,
Right.
so you know maybe he's lost that edge. Maybe okay. Although I'm not sure if Rory ever had that killer look to him. I just think he enjoyed playing golf and enjoyed playing well.
Right.
Tiger had the killer look.
Yeah.
Okay, Patrick Reed has that killer look, right? But he made those comments that were very complimentary of Justin Thomas, but it might have been against himself at the same time.
Yeah.
It was said this weekend.
It's the right thing to
So-
say, obviously, at any point. But, you know, when the guy beats you by how many did he finish ahead of Rory?
He fell off. He shot 75 or something, didn't he?
Yeah, at least
fell way
7
down.
or 8 shots behind, you know.
And if
Behind
he
the
goes
guy.
out and shoots 69 and gets beat by the 3 just like he started, at least they both played good golf.
Yeah, he matched him.
Right.
Right.
Rory, he got within 2 once because Justin made a bogey early on. But then after that, he was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, it's just interesting. We assume these guys are all full of confidence.
Right.
But
Not every day.
now, what about the British Open champ, Francisco Molinari?
Nobody's talking about him. And
I know, but you got to give him props. He's had a good
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, he had one. He didn't play good at the Bridgestone this past week, which was the week after the Open, which we just talked about being
Right.
difficult to. Oh wait, no,
No,
there
he
was
went to Canada.
Canadian,
Yeah.
and then this. But still, after winning your first major championship, there's a little hangover.
Right.
We'll see if that's over. But leading into that, nobody in the world is a better player than Francisco Molinari over the month of June and July.
Right.
Or
He's all the way up to 7th in the FedEx Cup, and he's only
Right.
played in 16 events.
Yeah.
He's had 2 wins and 3 top 10s.
Yeah. And all those are lately.
Yeah.
And, you know, and this course is only 7,300 yards. He's not a bomber himself.
No.
That's not a long golf course for any of those guys. So I think he's a very serious threat.
He's made the cut every year since he first played in the PGA Championship in 2009, and he was second last year, tied for second. So, yeah, it's just a matter of if the party's over after winning the Claret Jug and time to get back to what he was doing, or if there's still some hangover there. It'd be interesting to see if I was to, to include him in one of my top 6. That's up in the air, but you can't go wrong with a guy like Tony Finau. He's had top 10s in the first 3 majors of the year. I mean, has anyone else done that?
No.
Is he the only one?
I think he is. I think he is.
And tied for 10th last week at the Bridgestone. He just needs to figure out how to win.
Yeah. He hangs around. Just got to cash in a little bit on a Sunday.
Yep. I mean, look at his last round at the Open as well. He climbed right up the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Where's Finau in the FedEx this year? He's got to be right around top 10.
Yeah, he's up there. Let's see here. He's 10th. 8 top 10s.
And yet most Americans don't probably know who he is.
Right. That's really a good year. Top 10?
8 top
great
10s.
year.
Yeah, his top 10s are third behind Dustin Johnson and Justin Rose.
Which just like Rose, he's there every tournament.
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, this could be the breakthrough. There's so many guys though where the only one guy can win. That's what's so hard about trying to pick winners in golf. It's not like picking the winner of the Super Bowl. You got a 50-50 shot.
Right.
Because another guy that I really like is Tommy Fleetwood, who's having Francisco Molinari type of last few months where he's just there every single week. This year in the majors, not quite as good as Tony Finau. He was tied for 17th at the Masters, second place at the Open, and then tied for 12th at the British Open. But since the British Open, he was tied for 6th in Canada and tied for 14th at Firestone. He's just another guy that's there every single week. You can really count on him. He's not going to miss the cut until potentially misses the cut this week. But and great hair, and he's become a fan favorite.
Great hair. There you go. Pick him alone, right? Yeah.
Well, I like a guy that looks a little different out there,
He's made 23 out of 25 cuts worldwide.
Yeah.
10 top 10s.
He's tough. I wouldn't be surprised to see him win.
No.
Not at all.
He's due him.
And I'm sure he thought he had a piece of that claret jug when he posted his score a couple of weeks ago at the British Open.
Yeah.
I think 90% of the time he wins.
Yeah.
So
no doubt. What about Xander Schauffele?
He was awful this week at the Bridgestone. I was surprised. And being that this is a similar type of test, I've lost a little confidence in Xander. But, up until that, he's a major champ machine.
He's been a little up and down. But he seems to perk up for the big ones, though. He was second at the Open, 6th at the U.S. Open, second at the Players. Where was he at the Masters? 50th at the Masters. But
he's had a good year.
He's had some good done very well in some big tournaments.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, it's amazing we're this deep into it, and there's a couple guys we haven't talked about. And it's insulting to them, I think. And the first one's Rickie Fowler. I mean, this is his last major championship as a 20-year-old. So I think it's something like 34 major starts, right? That's a guess. I believe it's about 34. No wins, not looking good at Firestone.
He's having a really good year, and I'm guessing the way he's finished is why he's higher up the list than some. He's ahead of Rose, he's ahead of Koepka and Woods as far as salaries for fantasy, but his numbers are. You would think he would have had a win by now.
A major win or just a win?
Just either, because of the way he's playing.
He plays in more events than those guys, doesn't he?
He's played only 19, not only, but 19. But he's got his last 8 events: 17th, 28th, 6th, 12th, 20, 8, 14. Players he didn't do well. 21st, 2nd.
Thing is, we can talk about Tony Finau with finishes like 8 and 12 and 7, but with Rickie Fowler, nobody wants to see that anymore. They want to see him win a major, right. And I don't see it coming this week.
No, I don't think him either.
A couple years ago, we were kind of ready to anoint him a little bit when he had top 5 finishes in all majors.
But why doesn't he have a win at all?
And
like
it's
with that
kind of
season
gone south.
He's having very consistent season, but consistently just okay.
Every year, you going into a major championship season, you think Rickie's going to win one of these this year. Well, there's only 4 of them, and I think we're going to see another year go by. But remember, Phil Mickelson, no majors in his 20s either.
Right.
So we're not ready to say Rickie's the best player to never win a major?
Oh, he absolutely is, right?
Right now?
It's not even close.
I'd go reboot with Tiger. Tiger 2.0. But, it would do magic because you look down the list now. Molinari's gotten one.
Patrick Reed's gotten one.
Reed has one. Rose has one. Koepka has 2.
Thomas got one last year at the PGA. All the guys that we talked about a year ago or 2 years ago as being the best to never win a major.
They all have one.
Sergio.
Yeah. Sergio, right.
That's right.
Over the course of a few years, Matsuyama might be in that conversation. But I think from a United States perspective and fans in this country, I think they're looking at Rickie Fowler as a guy.
Matsuyama's still a lot younger than Rickie Fowler.
True.
Not that Rickie Fowler's old at 29.
Right.
Matsuyama's like 24 or something like that.
He hasn't had many
like
chances.
17, something like that. So, but Rickie, really, to be recognized as one of the better players of all time or whatever, he needs to win.
Soon.
Not wear orange outfits,
Yeah.
So
I put Kuchar into that conversation.
Well, Kuchar's quite a player, never won. I'm not sure if he's Rickie Fowler caliber overall, but he's a cut maker and a leaderboard.
Kuchar, although being Kuchar 39, 40,
I think he's that old.
That strengthens the argument for him as the best player to never win a major too, just in the fact that
longevity.
He's had so many more chances and really heartbreakingly close a couple of times. But sleeper of the week, it's got to be Patrick Reed. He tied for second at the PGA Championship last year and won the Masters this year, and he's had a solid season. After there's 3 people with a chance to win 2 majors this year, which is an unbelievable career type of year. Anytime somebody can do that, so that would be Patrick Reed, Koepka, and Francisco Molinari. So out of those guys, I think Reed comes in under the radar a little bit. And this should be a course that suits him. He seems to know how to elevate his game. He was in contention at the U.S. Open. He's my sleeper, if you can call Patrick Reed a sleeper.
It's always interesting to see that group, though, at the first 2 rounds of the PGA, because they always put the 3 winners, 3 major winners together. It doesn't ever seem like that group ever pans out.
Right.
It just seems like there's so much more hype about it and stress on them that they don't.
And marquee-wise, that's not the most marquee pairing.
No, it's been a horrible year for
Koepka's
major
a nice
championships.
guy, but he's not a
winners.
big dynamic personality. And Francisco Molinari barely speaks English. Does well. I mean, you can tell he's learning.
He's certainly not a marquee name for American golfers. Or they'll get a close look at him at the Ryder Cup this year, though.
Yes,
absolutely.
But I agree. This year's crop of major champions has not included any of the guys who could really elevate themselves into that. Mm-hmm. Tiger Woods, Byron Nelson, Jack Nicklaus type of Tom Watson, Gary Player. Mm-hmm. These are all guys who are catching up now with the Spieths and the McIlroys.
Yeah,
the guys with multiple majors already.
Do you guys ever? It's a little off topic, but with all these guys we're talking about every week, do you think there's anybody that's going to be just good enough to get to distance themselves anymore, or is it 1 to 2 majors the best accomplishment you're going to see for a long time?
Right. We talked about that a couple of years ago. There could be a whole bunch of guys win 4 or 5.
Right, but now it looks like a whole bunch of guys might win 1 or 2 and have a great career, like you said. The year some guys are having, and we're not even talking about some of them at this point.
Right.
Bubba Watson doesn't even get mentioned. The guy's got 2 majors.
Yeah, it seems to me that the Dustin Johnson's the guy that should be able to do that. I mean, he's just got no weaknesses from his demeanor to his well-rounded game to his physical stature.
Yeah.
All of it just translate to him being a cut above. He'd be a guy that would intimidate me if I was a guy like Rory McIlroy or Justin Thomas or Jordan Spieth, just because he doesn't seem to have anything bother him at all.
Right.
A little bad luck and a few boneheaded plays, and he's only got one major.
Yeah.
He's the longest player. He's arguably the best wedge player, and he's a great putter.
Yeah. You know, you almost think, and you don't even really put Justin Thomas into it, but he's right there too. But you know, McIlroy, Johnson, Day, and Spieth, of the new guys, you're thinking, they would just dominate the majors and just take their turns winning these things, and who cares about Justin Rose and how consistent he's been, or Matt Kuchar's or Tiger making his comeback. These guys, you would think, with the games they have, the distance, how good they are on the greens, but they just don't seem to be putting it all together to dominate like we're hoping they would. Or
they have more pressure on them than Brooks Koepka didn't have much pressure on him entering the U.S. Open last year, or even this year is defending it. He never seems to have that type of pressure on him. Now, as a two-time major champ, we're still don't talking about the chance that he could win his third major at PGA, and he's got a great chance to do it.
Sure, he's a great player.
Yeah, which would be 2 more majors than Dustin Johnson.
Yep.
So,
it's just interesting that how these guys, how many guys just keep going back to that there are that can win at any given time.
Yeah, it wasn't 2 years ago we sat here and talked about the big 3 or the big 4.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore.
Dozen to 20.
Yeah.
Well, McIlroy really stalled.
Yes.
Yep.
He was on pace to really, eclipse Tiger's records in major championships.
He had 4.
And the same thing is happening to Jordan Spieth. I still think, along with Johnson's the obvious answer just by looking at him with the eye test, but I still think Jordan Spieth, when it's all said and done, will be remembered along the lines of a Ben Hogan and a Tom Watson, that type of player. He'll have that many majors.
Well, one thing we forget about him, he's 22.
Right, exactly. He's got
3 majors. He's 22, and we're talking about is he? What's wrong with him?
If he retires, he's a Hall of Famer.
Phil Mickelson.
If he retired tomorrow at 22, he'd be tough to keep out of the Golf Hall of Fame.
Right. What was Phil when he was at the PGA that he won? Was he 36, 33? He wasn't like just 30. He was.
No, he was well into his 30s. Yeah.
So. Yeah. We're talking about this guy.
Spieth's got 14 more times to win one by the time Mickelson won it and complete the career Grand Slam. But so and that's true too. That McIlroy and Spieth are so young that you're just assuming, of course, they'll win it. Mickelson career Grand Slam talk didn't start until well into his 30s.
McIlroy's not 30, right? I mean, he's
no, he's 26. How old is McIlroy?
Yeah, he's still really young. So, they have plenty more chances. It just that's how good they are, though, that we put so much emphasis on the majors.
Right.
And why aren't they winning them? Because they are so good, and they are a cut above most of the group.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we fired through those PGA Championship, talked to a lot of individual players. There's a lot more players that we didn't even talk about, which is we're running a little bit low on time. I wanted to mention a couple guys like Patrick Cantlay, who's just been amazing, 4 top 15s in his last 5 starts. And again, nobody talks about Patrick Cantlay, but if you turn on TV, you're going to see his name on the first page of the leaderboard like all the time. So he's got to break through. Louis Oosthuizen, in a big tournament, you're going to find him there. Mark Leishman, a guy that could obviously contend at any step of the way. John Rahm hasn't been talked about much. Another young guy who's bound to win multiple majors. Ian Poulter's had a resurgence, and
we don't even. He's never mentioned either because he's quirky. But Bryson DeChambeau, he's at 2 wins.
Yeah, but he's lost it now, man. Did you see the video? Did you see the video of him on the range?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, you got
not good.
Not good.
Oh, he was a crazy man. He would not that he was. He was talking to himself. He was walking around like he was like crazed.
Yes, he was.
This during the tournament?
During the practice, getting ready for the tournament.
Yeah.
But then he also had a meltdown on the golf course where he finished like double bogey, triple bogey, double bogey, or something like that to get beat.
He's something about him though that any week though he could just throw.
Analytical that must have got himself twisted up.
Another guy who's one of the hottest players in the world, Thorbjørn Olesen.
He's not my pick this week.
Well, let me tell you what. Tied for 3rd of the Bridgestone, his 5th top 12 finish since winning the Italian Open just 2 months ago.
Maybe
that's a name that you guys should look at. And I got one more name that we didn't talk about who just might be my pick to win because he plays a good right-to-left game. Bellerive favors that. He's been very consistent, a resurgence, another multiple major winner who has a chance to elevate his career status. So before we get our picks, though, Andrew Putnam nabs his first PGA Tour win at the Barracuda. How about that? He's been playing great. So good for him. Stableford scoring event. He was plus 47. Normally not a winning score. I know a lot of the good players were at the WGC, but that plus 47 is not to par. It's the Stableford scoring system where you get points for birdies and pars and eagles. Chad Campbell came in second. Coming up on the PGA Tour, after this week, it's the Wyndham Championship. We'll be back next week to wrap up what happens at the PGA, and then we'll probably take a week off after the Wyndham. Then the PGA Tour playoffs start at the Northern Trust, followed by the Dell Technology Championships in Boston, the BMW at Aronimink in Newton Square, Pennsylvania, and the Tour Championship at East Lake and the Ryder Cup. So that's your end of the season. Let's get our picks. Official picks. I'll go last because I know you guys aren't picking who I'm picking.
Yeah, this is the guy who's hitting the ball right to left. This who we were picking.
Yeah.
Okay. We notice how he didn't do the name drop. All right. I'm gonna pick Justin Thomas.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm gonna ride the hot pony right now and say Justin wins.
Hard to argue.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood. I mean,
hard to argue.
23 out of 25 cuts.
Yeah.
No Dustin Johnson, huh?
No, you can have him.
I'm not going to take Dustin Johnson. I'm taking Zach Johnson.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Kenny Perry.
Kenny Perry, yeah, I was thinking it's between Kenny Perry and Dustin Johnson, but I'm going with Zach Johnson.
Wow.
He is. Look at his. Why don't you read us Zach Johnson's year since that you've been doing a lot of that this show?
It's pretty good.
And he's at a better place now. He's refound himself. So consistent. This course suits him, and I guess got a feeling
he's 51st FedEx. He's got 2 top 10s.
Not very good. That's not very good. But recently, check out
he played well at the Open and
give me his last 5 starts.
Oh boy. Okay, let me find him on DraftKings here. I have to go down a little far.
Oh, I thought you had him on there.
Here we go. We got him. So he's made 18 and 19 cuts though. So
yeah.
He's probably got the best percentage cuts.
We're talking about winning though. I think he's going to win.
17, 17, 16, 19, 12 for his last 5 tournaments. So that's pretty good.
Okay.
40th, 96. But yeah, so he's playing very well, well enough to get him to tie for 14.
He's probably got one of the best, most well-known caddies, active caddies in the game too, in Damon Green.
We all love his
who
caddy.
I think is overdoing the bird thing. He does it too much. Save it for the biggest of moments, right? You see him do it all the time. He chips in and he does this.
He's a good pick though for getting some points on DraftKings. That's for sure.
I think he's going to win the PGA Championship, which would bring him 1 win away from a career Grand Slam. But he'll never get the U.S. Open.
No.
Don't say never.
Yeah, well.
You get one of those ones that roughed at about 8 inches tall and fairways are a premium. Never say never.
Either way, enjoy it, but don't get too sad when it ends because you'll have all 4. It'll be less than 12 months before all 4 majors are done again.
That's right.
It'll be 11 months from now. So that'll be something different. Enjoy the PGA in August. Next year it'll be in May.
So who plays in that? There is no pairing next May for the major championship.
Well, they have to change it up, won't they?
They're definitely, this tournament's going to take a hit in a lot of ways.
Well, they can put 2 of them together.
Yeah. Well, no, one. It's Masters.
PGA the winner.
This year?
This weekend.
Okay.
And
yeah, you can do that.
Next Masters.
All right.
Yeah, the last 3 major championships.
Yeah.
And the players, I guess, maybe.
No, the last 3 you can always do the last 3 major champions. It would just go into the previous year.
Again.
We're running out of time. I will say this, though. Knee-jerk reaction is moving the PGA to May won't be good, but, there's not a lot of hype for the PGA right now. It's obviously...
I didn't even remember.
Yeah, he slept. He fell asleep.
I thought it was the Wyndham.
So maybe we'll have to trust the PGA and...
trust their research.
Yeah, and see how the new schedule works out. But thanks for spending some time with us on the GolfJ.com podcast. We're online on Twitter at TheGolfJ, on Instagram at _GolfJ, on Facebook at Facebook.com/GolfJ. All of our episodes in and the best of the wide world of golf on the web can be found at golfj.com. We'll be back next Monday night at 9 p.m. to wrap up the PGA Championship. Until then, and talk about Zach Johnson's big win. Until then, hit 'em long, not often.
golfj.com